Ladies and gentlemen, nerds and neckbeards.
Nerds and neckbeards.
Welcome to a Sunday Funday edition of
Funday.
Westworld Wheneverly.
And the timing is sort of brunch-esque.
That's right, it is. It's 1:15 p.m. in the afternoons.
Yeah.
I just stuffed my face with some Five Guys, and now I'm drinking.
Hold on, you stuffed your face with Five Guys?
Five Guys.
Five Guys stuffed
Yep.
your face?
Five
okay,
Guys
well,
stuffed my face.
we do Sunday Funday differently, you and I.
Well, yeah, you're not into burgers and stuff.
I like brunch. I prefer eggs scrambled. What are we drinking today, David?
Well, of course, in honor of Sunday Funday and brunch.
The age-old cocktail.
That's right. The one that you can get almost bottomless anywhere you go on Sunday.
The quintessential day drinker's day drink.
That's right. It is none other than a mimosa.
The mimosa.
The mimosa.
Bum, bum, bum.
And I actually saw a really, I don't know if you're a Harry Potter fan or not, but
I am.
I saw a very...
Ravenclaw.
Oh, I'm a Slytherin, of course.
Of course.
Yeah,
you
of
and
course.
Kirsten.
Lauren's a Ravenclaw, though. You can see she's got
nice.
Ravenclaw shit all over the place.
Hell
but,
yeah.
So I saw
Brandon.
a very good meme that said it's mimosa, not mimosa.
Oh, I love nerd jokes. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Tana.
Listen, buddy.
Yeah, we're getting close.
It's almost time for the season premiere.
This is going to be a marathon.
That's why. Okay, so we're going a little off script here. We're doing two episodes
right.
at once.
We're doing 2 at once this time, and I
Yeah.
think the next one's going to have to be 2.
Yeah.
And then we're going to do a finale.
And then we're devoting our final episode to
The finale.
The finale, which,
right.
from what I remember, is quite epic. All of these, they just keep getting better, dude. They're so
Yeah.
good. It's
Oh,
such a great
man.
show. The writing on this show is the best on TV. It's so good. Let's jump in.
Let's
We've
jump
got
in.
2 episodes. One is The Adversary.
The Adversary.
That is episode number 6 we'll talk about
6.
first.
Okay.
What does adversary mean, Dave?
Adversary is, like an enemy, like someone with malicious intent
Mm-hmm.
that you are against directly. At least that's what I'm pulling from memory.
Yeah.
I'm not reading a
One's
description, so you
opponent-
can't stump Dave here.
No stumping Dave there. One's opponent in a conflict, contest, or dispute.
That's right.
Second meaning, what does the adversary refer to?
Not the thing you just said.
Do you know that the adversary is another way of talking about the devil?
Oh,
Yeah.
interesting. Interesting. Like
So-
he's God's adversary.
yeah.
He's the original.
Yeah. Like
bad
Yahweh, you
guy
can't say
type of
God's
thing.
name, and so like, I don't know if he had some sort of like angelic, more hard to pronounce than morning star or whatever, but like he is commonly referred to, the devil is commonly referred to as the adversary.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's because I'm Jewish.
Is it?
Maybe. I don't know.
So, does any adversarial thing jump out to you here?
Well, I mean, of course, I think the big reveal in 6, of course, and I just watched both of them, so like they might get
They're
a little
gonna run
muddled.
together.
Yeah, but I think the big thing that we learn in 6 is Teressa,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
she's a bad guy.
She's a bad guy. She's
been trying to steal.
smuggle data out of this park. Well, we got closet case.
Closet case Becky.
Closet Case Becky, who, by the way, that scene for me with Closet Case Becky, there's this great moment. We'll talk about it maybe later,
Yeah.
but oh man, you know what I realized just
What?
now?
Tell me.
Every time we say we're going to talk about it later,
We
end
talk
up
about it
talking
right now. So
now.
just talk about it
just
right
talk
now.
about it right now.
They've
That's
already
right.
seen it,
That's
or
right.
they're just listening to us because we are delightfully entertaining.
Yeah, maybe that's of course the reason.
So which scene?
It's the
with
scene
Becky?
it's the scene with Becky
Where she gets murdered?
or we don't know she's murdered, but we know she disappears.
Oh
She
shit.
gets taken.
Oh
right?
shit. I assume
so-
murder. Do we not? We see her in a dark shadow. Man, I can't do all this dead or not dead stuff.
So
Dang. I assume she's dead.
yeah, I think everyone assumes that she's
Oh,
dead.
Dave. Okay,
But-
go on. Speak on.
What I've learned from
Unless-
Game of Thrones,
Yeah.
from Walking Dead, from every TV show, Breaking Bad,
Yep.
is unless you see a body,
Yeah.
you cannot assume death.
Yeah, but
All right.
then they say that she's gone on her hiatus
They
and
say
her
she
leave.
started her leave today, but
So
again,
clever, because Bernard's asking about her.
that's right.
We find out at the end Bernard
Is
murdered
probably
her.
the one that murdered
Right.
her. And this I think was excellently
So
well
good.
done because she goes, she's like, she's hacking away at this little transceiver satellite thing, and some guy, there's a noise that comes up behind her, and she goes, "Bernard, is that you?" And then she goes, "Arnold," and then bam,
yeah. And she had found something in that scene. She was like, holy shit. So she's scanning through something on the, in the old receiver in this dusty horror movie warehouse that has like children's toys.
The old theater in
and
Sector 3.
There's like almost an altar behind her. When you look at this scene again, look at what look what the set designers did. There is a devil figure, like ram's horns and a long cape, on an altar with what looks like a body in front of it. Like, it's all very shadowy and whatever. Yeah. But they had to design this set, and so they designed this scene with her discovering things underneath an altar of the devil. Like, there's symbolism all over this thing, and I love it so much. The horror movie stuff, yes, it does scare the shit out of me. So she found something, and she says, she swears, she's like, holy shit. And she's like scanning, checking something out, but she doesn't tell us what she found.
That's right.
And neither in this episode nor the next one do we find out what she found.
That's right, because she's missing.
Yeah, or
we assume
murdered.
Dead. Right, we assume dead.
Well, fucking poor Becky, murder sauce.
You're just upset because you thought
I
she
loved
was cute.
her. I loved her. I love it when we get little like closet lesbians. They're so nice. But let's begin where we begin.
Okay.
In the opening, of the thing.
All right, bring me through number 6, the adversary.
Oh, the adversary. We open on Maeve, right? She's starting her day. The music plays. It's business as usual. There's melancholy music. People are shooting in the background, like she's walking through town and somebody just blows away that guy.
Right That's right. Yep.
And and then in the opening scene,
I love that song.
Yeah.
The Mariposa bar song.
The ding, yeah.
Dun, dun,
Yeah.
dun,
It's so good.
dun, 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 dun. Yeah, okay.
She gets choked to death. The opening scene is Maeve gets choked to death as a way to hitch a ride up to Felix.
She forces that guy.
Yes.
Basically, she's like, hey,
Maeve.
you gonna fuck me? Oh no, why don't you just strangle me here harder? Give it all you got.
Such a big man.
Yeah.
So big all over.
Except
where it counts. And then puts his hands around her own neck. Like this character is complex and incredible.
And this is before they make the modifications to her.
Yes.
So she's already got kind of like the intelligence to know that she needs to die to get back to Felix.
Although, later in this episode or the next, when Felix and Sylvester the Molester, who we can call Gingerbeard, creepy Gingerbeard, are like going through her behavior modifications, Sylvester is like, holy fuck, somebody with much higher clearance than us has already been altering her.
Yep.
And so perhaps are we supposed to believe that Arnold has been altering her already? Was it something like...
Was it Ford? Maybe Ford was altering her.
Was it Dolores unlocking her? Like, did that start some sort of, antiquated program or something? I mean, I don't know. But she wakes up with Felix hovering over her in the chop shop, and that's how the episode begins for us. And I think Maeve is really taking center stage here. Over the next 2 episodes, these 2 that we're talking about, she is like queen bee here. And I love it. Then Closet Case Becky brings Bernard that antenna. They're talking about industrial espionage.
Yeah.
And
I love how they don't touch it. Like, he picks it up with like chopstick kind of things.
Yes. And Becky says, so, I thought it could be you. I thought you could be the bug or whatever, the spy. But you've been here for too long, and if you wanted to sell us out, you could have already done it 1,000 times. And he was like, thanks for the vote of confidence.
Yeah, right.
And so Bernard is very human-seeming through the whole thing.
Yeah.
And she says to him, and I thought of you immediately, so, Bernard, is this a glass half full or a glass half empty situation?
Oh, I love his comment. He goes, we're an engineer. I want to know where the glass was manufactured.
It means the glass was manufactured to the wrong specifications. And I was like, that is such an engineering nerd thing. Dave could have written that.
I could have written that. That was excellent.
So he goes down to floor B82, which is the horror movie floor.
It's a restricted floor. He's authorized, though.
He is authorized. Old workstations, old computers, old drafting tables, dust.
I think also what's important to note here is everything was a disarray, right?
Yeah.
And there's work left out.
Yes.
And so...
half-built dogs and sort of...
And so I think what we're meant to take away from this is that people left here in a hurry. Yeah. Something happened that they just... frantically left. They had to leave, and then they sealed up the floor and locked it up. Yeah. This wasn't like, oh, hey guys, we're going to archive stuff down here.
Right, clean it up, repurpose the space.
Right, exactly. This was some shit went down, and we're never going back down.
That's a great observation.
And I think that's similar to what we saw earlier in this season, where closet case and security guard go down a couple levels, and you see this staircase, right, and the big W.
Yeah, right? And it's the old W, right? It's there's a more like square parallelogram sort of looking logo.
Yeah, which we think, at least I drew the conclusion that that's the lobby that William and Logan walk through for the first time.
Oh man, right? I love it. This is why you can't be like fucking around on your phone when you're watching this. You have to be paying attention to it.
Right. It's the little things that they get so right.
They really do. And like the horror movie stuff. Ooh. This is when Bernard finds out about Ford's 5 missing hosts. So in order to get to the host, to understand what happened with the host that went sort of bonkers with the antenna and see if there are any other ones in the park, he accidentally finds that there are 5 unregistered hosts in Section 17.
So what's interesting is he goes, check for anomalies, but start in this sector. Mm-hmm. And so the sector was where Smashy Headface guy
I love it, Smashy Headface,
And so Smashy Headface pops up, and he's like, okay, good, there's the one anomaly that I suspected. He does a little info digging on that, and then all of a sudden, the computer's like, 5 other anomalies detected somewhere over here.
In this Sector blacked 17. Out area called Sector 17. And so begins Bernard's mission impossible to find out what's in Sector 17.
That's right.
So from this scene, right, there are 5 hosts. Tell me more about them. I can't. That's all the information we have. It's a blanked out section. Cut to Ford freeze framing that town.
The whole town.
Yeah, and then walking in with like 5 other dudes in literal white suits.
Construction dudes.
Yeah, construction dudes. And then they're talking about we'd have to mess up. There's a huge town here, all the storylines. Ford says, we'll stop the canyon.
Just short of the town.
Yeah, just short of the town.
I've wrecked enough, or something like that.
Yeah.
I've displaced enough.
And then Ford starts it up and walks through his town.
And he notices the maze on the table.
What the fuck, man? Is it your opinion that Ford is following a ghost? Like, is he trying to find Arnold really? In all this? I can't every time.
Really?
I don't know. Arnold Palmer is how I remember it. Arnold Palmer.
He likes...
Yeah, we're a boozy podcast. Arnold Palmer.
Iced tea and lemonade. Yeah. But like 70% lemonade, 30% iced tea, maybe 10% ice.
Maybe that's why I thought Arnold was a white guy, because I just picture Arnold Palmer.
Yeah, right. So I think, here's the thing is, I don't know if he's necessarily following this ghost, right? Or looking for this ghost.
Yeah.
But something very apparent is that these are Arnold's like kind of legacies, right? And he actually says that when he's talking to Bernard about the 5 hosts in Sector 17, right? Which we learned a little bit later on in this episode, right? It's the first time. Anyway, we'll talk about it when we get there.
Hold on, because I think this might help us get there. As he sees that, so there's the maze, the man in the maze image carved into the center of this table in the town.
Yep.
And Ford looks at it and he pauses. Like, he's not, the way I read that scene is he wasn't expecting that, and it sort of troubles him, and he kind of looks away. Then it cuts to him in his office.
And he's going through a book.
And he's going through like a journal or a book or something. It
had to have been Arnold's book.
It had to have been, right?
There's a sketch of Dolores.
Yeah.
And he flips it. There's a sketch of another guy, and then there's the big maze.
Yep.
In bold, very show-like. Out of everything in this notebook, this is what we want you to see. Big, bold, colored in.
No notes. Maze. Nobody that's like scribbling down notes are going to have this sort of like clean, perfect final draft. Exactly. But like, I get it. I get what we're going for here. So it's like Arnold created Dolores. Arnold created the maze. Arnold created, these are Arnold's notebooks is what it seems to me.
Right.
Is this the first time that Ford is seeing it?
I don't think so.
Right, it can't be.
I don't think so.
But we're supposed to know that he's like he seems like he's hot on the trail.
Yeah, I think what happens is he sees it in the world, and that triggers something, and he's like,
But it's also in the scalps, right? Like, he scalps the dude, and inside the scalp, there's like the actual maze. Right. So if he designed them, he would know. But like, we don't need to put I think, too fine a point on it, but he's after something.
Yeah.
Or
absolutely.
maybe. We cut from there to Teddy and the man in black in the long graveyard talking about the maze. Oh, I have an audio clip for this.
You have an audio clip for this?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Let's clip it up.
Let's clip it up. Teddy on the maze. So
this is actually a great... This scene that we're going to listen to, I'm assuming, so is the beginning of a great transformation scene for Teddy, in my opinion.
It is.
Because he does something crazy and radical as this. And even the man in black, and maybe we'll hear this, the man in black says something like, man, did Ford give you a little extra vinegar or something?
He says vinegar, yeah. And he was like, you think you know a guy.
That's right.
And Teddy's like, you don't know me at all.
Yep.
Oh, because in the very beginning, go back to the very first episode, the only reason, to have anyone win anything is that somebody else loses. And Teddy, you're always the loser.
Yep.
And he shoots Teddy and drags Dolores off to the barn, right? Like it doesn't mean anything unless somebody loses. You're always the loser. That's what you are. And now the man in black is looking at Teddy like, who the fuck is this guy?
Yeah.
Okay, here it is.
Here's a clip.
The maze itself is the sum of a man's life. The choices he makes, dreams he hangs on to. And there at the center, there's a legendary man who's been killed over and over again, countless times. Always clawed his way back to life. The man returned for the last time and vanquished all his oppressors in a tireless fury. Built a house. Around that house, he built a maze so complicated only he could navigate through it. I reckon he'd seen enough of fighting.
It's just so good. And so, this is what Teddy, so Man in Black is like, tell me about the man in the maze. And he's like, it's an old native myth. And he's like, well, indulge me. And so he tells him this, right? And it sort of is this...
Sounds like a host, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yep.
I think we're led to believe it's a host.
Yep. And that this is like their raison d'etre. This is their big dream. This is the, the pinnacle, the nirvana of existence.
That's right.
A man that dies over the mythology of their own existence, right?
Yeah, he dies over and over again, and then one day he vanquishes
a legendary man.
He vanquishes all his foes.
In a tireless fury is the word. In a tireless fury.
What does this sound like to you?
I mean...
Well, what we know of... At the end of next episode... Well, it sounds like Wyatt, but at the end of next episode, that immediately triggers Ford.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
it vanquishes all his enemies in a tireless fury. Oh,
the speech he gives to
Teressa.
Yeah, Teressa in the murder dungeon. You have it. Okay, let's continue with this episode first.
Felix
so the
and
Adversary.
Maeve. So we go from there, the tireless fury, as Man in Black and Teddy are trying to find a way into the furthest part of the game.
Yep.
Past Pariah or something. We go to Felix and Maeve, and this is when Felix shows Maeve, who is now awake after being murder sauced, the behavior tablet. And
Stop coming back.
Yeah, she experienced...
He says something like, if you keep this up, people are going to get suspicious.
Yeah, if you keep letting yourself die like this,
stop,
you keep dying all the time.
Stop dying. Mm-hmm. That sounds like what a pro player says to like a noob in a video game. Like, Jesus, man, stop dying.
He shows this is when she has her existential break. Like, she actually can't process the fact of her existence, right? This is fascinating.
That's right. He shows her the behavior tablet, and he says, like, look, even though you think what she's saying is improv, we wrote this for you. Yep. Like, all of this is pre-recorded. And she's like, that's not true. And then
there's only so many options.
Yeah, he shows her the tablet. There's the combinations pop up, and then all of a sudden
he's
it's like,
I have to pair this with you. And she's like, pair this with me?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, right.
And you have to remember, she's never seen a movie, right? Like, she doesn't know about computers. There's no electricity, really, technology, right? Yeah. Like, they live in the Wild Wild West.
Later on, she says, what is that moving picture of me? How do you have my dreams?
Yes, how do you have my dreams? Picture? That's right. And so, like, she doesn't have the sort of, I think, context to understand, what are you pairing with me? Right. And so she's looking at this thing, and it's reading out her words, her sentence as she's saying it. And then all of the other options, all the other words that she could have possibly said. And then she just freezes.
Yep.
Like,
she freaks out,
has an existential crisis, and shuts the fuck down.
She can't comprehend it. Something in her code goes wonky.
Yep.
But what's interesting is he can't reboot her.
Yep.
And then she just wakes up again.
Yep, he can't. And you know what he says to her, and this is why I love Felix? Are you okay? if she's just a robot and you're just bug checking.
Yeah, right.
I mean, he sees humanity. He sees her as a person, as a living entity.
And I think that's also parallels to what William sees in Dolores this whole time for this whole season, right?
Yes.
Because he even says it to Logan. He says, there's something different. Or he says, don't just treat them like robots, And Logan's like, and this now you've got one, I've got one. I promise I won't fuck mine either.
I won't fuck mine either. And it goes back to Ford early on. This, I think, is why it's so jarring and so important that we see Ford do this, episodes ago, when one of the designers had a smock over one of the things, and he says, Ford gets angry and he rips off the smock, and he's like, why did you cover him with a blanket? Yeah. For his modesty? They don't feel embarrassed. They don't feel cold. They feel only what we tell them to feel. And he takes a scalpel and cuts the host's face wide open. And he's like, fucking throws down the thing and is like, they're not real. Right? This is Ford. It's important that we see that early on because they are so fucking real.
That's right.
Oh, I love this show. Bernard and Teressa, first cut to them of this episode.
Yeah.
He knocks and she says,
bro, we ain't fucking no more. What about that? Don't you understand?
We can't be fucking anymore. This is over. Our dalliance, however fun, has reached its conclusion. Excuse me. But he's come to tell her about park safety. He wants to tell her about the antenna. That's why he knocks on the door.
Yep.
She's in charge of park safety. He found this thing that is transmitting data. We find out later in the episode that she's the mole. She is the one that put him up to it.
He comes in. He starts talking with her. And he gets a phone call from Closet
Nope,
Kids.
this is different. No? This is in their office. So I think he ends up almost telling her 3 times. This is the first time. Okay. Bernard goes into her office where she's, there's the gray and red office. It's all glass, and she sort of her office is looking over that park hologram thing. Yeah. And so he knocks on that door and comes in, and he's like, I have an issue of park safety. She breaks up with him, and it totally derails what he was hoping to do.
Yeah.
And what he was hoping to talk about. And so he leaves without ever telling her about the antenna. And because he's sort of just been broken up with. And so he's kind of numbly walks away without telling her that, there's a mole and giving away the game. Their relationship. We'll come back to it. Maeve and Felix, back to them. He's walking her through the chop shop. She wants to witness the horror.
I want to see upstairs, right? She says, take me upstairs or something like that.
Yeah, when she wakes up. When she wakes herself up after her existential crisis, instead of reverting to some safer mental space.
Version of herself,
she wants to go further into the horror of her horrible existence.
Yep.
And so he pretends to walk her through. I think one of the interesting things, by making the hosts naked, they become invisible.
Yeah, everyone just kind of ignores them.
You don't see them at all. No one's paying any attention to them. And Maeve is looking around, and it's fascinating to watch this scene play out, because she is realizing that not only is she a creation. First, we see the chop shop, the bloody bodies being hosed down, the thing that she saw before.
Yep.
This should trigger some sort of traumatic memory for her, or this is the thing of nightmares.
Yeah.
But she calmly walks through it. She keeps her shit together. And then she sees in these glass rooms, people in the bars, all of the people of her life. She sees prostitutes fucking each other.
Yep.
She sees gunslingers getting into a fight at a table while other people with tablets
and they reset.
Yes, reset them. She is watching her life. And as they progress, then she sees animals. She sees a guy walking a buffalo in a circle. Yep. There's an antelope. Everything is fake. How would you react, Dave?
I don't think I would react. I would
if
take
you're
the
naked Dave taking a walk through the park here.
First off, no one wants to see naked Dave. All right, that's the first thing.
That's not true, David.
Second thing.
Human bodies are lovely things.
The second thing is that I would take the blue pill and go right back into the Matrix. All right.
I don't need this. I don't need this shit.
I'm not down for this. All right. I want to go eat my juicy steak. All right. Ignorance is bliss.
Yep.
All right. Give me a couple $1 million in the Matrix. I'll go back in.
All right.
I'm done.
Let's do this. At least we know where you are. Let's see. And then this is the scene that ends with her seeing that advertisement for Westworld. The vision of her dream of her daughter.
This is also the scene where we see the white 3D printed flesh, and then they hook up the blood.
Yes.
And the reason why I wanted to mention this is because in our mimosas we splashed a little cranberry juice. which is symbolizing of this scene where they plug in this like blood hose into the back of this 3D printed, completely white man host. And he starts to get color and flush.
Like white man as in the actual color white, which is...
Yeah, not like the Caucasian color white. I mean, he does turn Caucasian.
But he is like bleached white.
Like, he's like paper white, because he's 3D printed. And then he turns into a white man.
Yeah, with the blood. And it's so fascinating to see it sort of fill the cavity and, sort of flesh him out. Yeah. I did take note of that guy's face. He's got big ears and a bald head. And was
it Smashy Head Guy?
No, I don't.
Part 2?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. And I was like, I don't recognize him.
Yeah, I didn't.
But I wonder if we'll see him, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
So then she sees this advertisement that shows her daughter and the dream she has. And she asks Felix, how do you have my dream?
How do you have my dreams in that moving picture?
And he says, those aren't dreams.
They're not dreams, bitch.
That was you. Those were you in a previous build. And
previous
she says,
what?
Yes, exactly.
Previous what?
I've been at the Mariposa for 10 years. Nope. 1 year. And then, and then they moved you and they could rewrite you. And he's sort of giving us the insight to how, but it would take so many hours and they could do it, but they're too lazy. And so they don't. And so they just like say it's a dream. And then you dream this stuff, but you've only been at the Mariposa for a year.
Yeah. He says it would take too much time and effort to really rewrite you completely. So they just make a few minor tweaks.
And this is when Shitty Gingerbeard shows up to ruin things. And,
what the fuck are you doing?
Yep, exactly. And so Maeve just freezes.
I thought I was going to tell QA on you, blah, 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 blah.
Oh, you're dressing her up now? Why is she wearing clothes? Because he sees her humanity. Right. So now I have to tell you, I have to, I don't know, tell...
I'm gonna tell QA on you, and it's for your own good.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And as soon as he goes to walk away...
Yep.
Maeve, with the fucking scalpel.
Yep.
Grabs him.
Yep. And it cuts from here, so I think they get, Maeve calls the shots. She threatens to kill him. She's like, gets Sylvester the molester on her side. But then it cuts away to Teressa talking to Chinese or understanding Chinese.
Oh, yeah, understanding. Yeah. So you're the type of person that would turn subtitles on to see what they're saying.
I would, but I did not.
Oh, damn it. I was really hoping that you did.
If any of our listeners have, it might just say like,
speaking Chinese.
Yeah, exactly. It might not tell us what
Japanese
they actually say.
Or Korean or whatever. We don't want to be racist here, but
we don't speak any of those languages, so we don't know.
It could be any of them, yeah.
But the Chinese investors are talking about urgency based on the context.
Yeah.
She's like, I understand how urgent this is. Yes, I'm working on it. Yes, we had a setback. She goes and finds drunk Britpop. They talk about it.
Yes.
Ford's been working for 5 days, has displaced 50 hosts, multiple storylines. We need you back in the game. He starts bitching about his art.
Yeah.
And how this is his life or whatever.
Yeah, and then she says something that, I think is interesting. Is she says, stop helping him, basically. She says, he said...
Stop fixing it.
Stop filling in the holes.
Yep. Yeah. Yep. The board is going to, after Ford retires or is pushed out...
We're going to need someone else.
Yeah, and they're gonna look for you, but they're not going to look in a rooftop bar. So get back to work. Get this out of your system and get back to work, is what she says to him.
And then he meets some hot...
Sure does.
Some hot piece of ass.
Yep, sure does.
Flirts with him.
Yep.
Who I initially, when I first saw this episode, and even now, I didn't remember that, this twist that happens with her.
Bikini lady.
Yeah, and so I thought, it's a host. It's a host. I'm like that's absolutely a host that Ford is sent to spy and get some
interesting.
On.
I never thought that.
It turns out a little differently than that, but still, it was...
Yeah, so Britpop, so this bikini lady that we've never seen before comes in. And drunk Britpop is running his mouth. He is acting like a fool. He starts saying, talking about all this insider gossip shit.
Yeah.
He says that the suits at Delos put up with Ford, and the behavior, how the hosts are malfunctioning. Yep. And her ears prick up and she's like, are they? Just small things. It's in the reveries and it's because they want them to appear more human, but no one wants them to appear more human.
Yeah. He says that. He says that comment. It's like, it's the small things that they do and it's to make them,
To make them, and so he's running his mouth and he's trying to tell her, oh, your favorite story is this. Yeah. Your favorite is this. And she's like, which one is yours? And he's like, oh, I don't play. Well, you're afraid. Yeah, you're afraid to lose control. And so she's very in command of the situation. She leaves before you ever get introduced to her. You'll find me later, something like that. And he's like, but I don't even know your name.
No, she says he gets cut off at the bar.
Yep.
Because the
that's right.
bartender says, who we also assume is a host.
Yeah.
At least I assume is a host, right?
So funny. Who's real and who isn't?
Yeah, right. And he says something like, "Oh, Teressa told me to cut you off.
Yep.
You're needed somewhere, so sober up and get there," or some shit like that.
Yep.
And she goes, "Well, look me up later." And he goes, "Well, I don't even know your name." Oh, fuck.
And so he grabs a bottle and he's like, "Fuck this job."
Yep.
So let's see. Then we cut from there to Bernard and Becky. Yeah. Becky is trash talking Teressa and saying, it's a failure of security in the park, and Bernard is like kind of demurring about it.
Yeah.
And I have to wonder if maybe he's protecting his girlfriend a little bit.
I think he is a little bit. I think unknowingly he is. Yeah.
And Becky's like, don't worry, when I blow this up, I'm going to get a corner office. I'll probably get Teresa's office because she's letting all this shit happen in the park.
Yeah. She says something like, it's going to all land on her head.
Yep. So from there, Bernard is sort of on the hunt after Ford's 5 hosts. So he looks up at Teresa's office. She's busy. Yeah. And then he talks to a woman with a clipboard. And he's like,
something like that.
Sector 17, what about these hosts? Do you have anybody in the area? Have you had any, And she's like, we've got everybody everywhere because Ford is messing everything up.
Yep.
Everything's a disaster. It's hard to keep track of. No, we don't have any hosts in Sector 17. Yep. No registered hosts. Right.
Have any texts gone in there recently?
Yes.
No texts have gone in there recently.
And so he's on a mission.
Yep.
He takes the underground elevator.
We find it was reserved for future expansion.
Yes.
For future storylines.
That's right.
Yeah.
And we walk through the woods to this house. Now, Dave, have we ever seen the family before now, or have we only seen Child Robert?
We've only seen Child Robert, the boy.
Right, the boy.
And what's also interesting to me is I don't think we've ever seen Woods. This is where
it's
at
different.
least where Bernard is walking is different. This is not desert
Wild
Western, Wild West. This is
Cornwall.
This is Cornwall.
Yeah,
exactly.
This is exactly where he went.
The southeastern British countryside.
Yeah. And you see this British country house.
Yeah.
With this thatched roof and the the very sort of rock and I don't know, plaster siding. This guy comes out. This guy we've never seen before comes out, angry looking white dude.
Yeah.
Picks up some firewood, goes back inside. Bernard's like, what the fuck is this?
Yeah.
Follows him inside. What do we see?
We see a family.
A whole fucking family. Just kind of chilling. Mm-hmm. No TVs, no fucking pamphlets. Reading
it's very
books,
old school. And
doilies on the tables.
Yeah, and the father notices Bernard. And it's like,
who are you?
Who the fuck are you?
Yeah.
What are you doing in my house? And starts going up after him, and Bernard's like, freeze all motor functions.
Bernard first says, he's looking at him with wonder, and he goes, Are you Arnold?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Oh, which is such a good red herring.
That's right.
It's such a good red herring. And then so he starts coming after him. He's freeze all motor functions. And he can't. He won't stop. And so he grabs Bernard by the collar and slams him against the wall and starts shouting in his face.
Yep.
And between the two faces of the angry guy yelling at Bernard and Bernard's face sort of cringing back in fear, there's enough space for the camera to pan left, and we see Ford.
Yep.
Old Ford.
Real Ford.
Which,
by the way,
suddenly in the house.
Yeah, how did he get there?
Suddenly in the house. Was he there the whole time?
We find out the next episode. But, yeah. Okay.
And saying, freeze all motor functions or whatever he says. He just stops him from getting beat up. And he's like, these hosts don't listen.
He said, Bernard says they don't listen to voice commands. And Ford goes, they do to me.
Yeah, they listen to mine. Yeah. Oh, it's so good. They're first generation hosts. Survivors of the wreck of time is what he says. He says,
I've been maintaining them
myself.
Arnold built them. I've been maintaining them myself. Right.
Yep. And when he says to the little boy, turn the other cheek,
his whole face opens up.
Yeah, which is a biblical reference, right?
Is it?
Yes, because Jesus, you wouldn't know this.
I would not know this.
Jesus says in one of his teachings that if someone slaps you in the face, if they, hit you, violently attack you, it is your, I don't know, Catholic responsibility, Christian responsibility to offer them your other cheek.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Exactly. And a lot of people, I think, mix this up. Turn the other cheek, meaning like, you know, put on a happy face or like get over it. And that's not what it means. It doesn't, turn the other cheek doesn't mean ignore an insult. It means allow someone to insult you again or harm you again. It's a little fucked up.
Yeah.
Right? But like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Hashtag
Stab
Bible.
me once.
Yeah.
You know.
Turn the other cheek.
Go ahead, stab me again.
Exactly.
Stab me once. Shame on you.
So that
but go ahead, stab me again.
So turn the other cheek, and his whole face fucking opens up.
Opens up, yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And he has this, like, you know, robot face underneath. It's not a human skull. It's not like a 3D printed situation.
We know that this is not, you know, how they're made these days. And we actually learned that with Felix and Maeve.
Yeah.
Because, you know, they touch each other and he goes,
you feel like me,
oh, you feel like me. And he goes, yeah, we're basically the same these days except for what's up here. And he points to Maeve's head and he says, you have, you know, way more processing power than we do.
Yep.
But you're under our control.
Right.
Is what he says.
Well, which is so
Right.
great. So this, so he's saying, Ford says to Bernard, this family is a gift. It was a gift from Arnold to me. It's the only happy memory I have of my childhood. We went to Cornwall. I was on a vacation. It's the only happy memory that I have. And he said, Arnold said that all great artists hide themselves in their work. So he gave them to me. Of course, over time, they were meant to flatter. So I made certain adjustments to their personalities.
Yep, and then his dad is grabbing the alcohol and the shot glass. And
so he says, you know, Bernard's looking around and he's deeply troubled by this. Like, this is fucked up. So it's like Dave, you know, you're old man Dave.
Old man Dave.
And you are hanging out in a secret house with your dead family, right? Like a robot mom and dad, a brother, a dog.
Susie.
Like a Susie cat. Yeah, you've got all in the house that you vacationed in your one happy memory. Petting the head of your younger or like, I guess, older brother.
Yeah, it's pretty fucked up.
It's fucked up, man.
Fucked up.
We're supposed to feel weird in this situation.
It's sociopathic. I mean, it's
weird.
Legit.
And he's like talking to his younger self, little Robert. You know, and like at some later date, he's like, tell me about your day. Or at the end of the scene, he was like, Robert, tell me about your day. What the fuck, man?
Well, I took that as him getting fucking information. Robert is a little spy.
Dave.
Robert is a little fucking spy.
Oh, Dave.
And Ford wants to know this shit.
You're so clever. Cheers, buddy.
Cheers.
This drink looks like nothing to
me.
Damn, boy. Oh, so to end this scene, Ford says to Arnold, to Bernard, if you could see your son again, wouldn't you want to? And I wonder to you, Dave, is that a command? Is every time, since that's his origin story, since that's the central theme, when Bernard dreams, he dreams of his son dying in the same way that Maeve dreams about her daughter, you know, and that
getting taken away.
Yeah, getting taken away. That's the thing that holds the rest of the personality together.
It's interesting because I think the last time kind of Bernard was questioning Ford, he did the same thing in an earlier episode.
Yeah.
He makes some comment reference to his son.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, and so I wonder if these are like little moments where he's like exerting, you know,
dominance.
Yes.
Yeah.
But like a command over him that is subtle and that nobody that doesn't know the sort of, secret language would pick up on.
Right, yeah. I think it is. I think you're right on that one.
We cut to Britpop peeing on the command center. It's acid rain! Acid rain!
What a drunk asshole. Everyone's just kind of like staring, like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my god.
And then we find out who his bikini lady is. Mm-hmm. Turns out she's the
executive director of the board.
From Delos.
Yep. Is it Delos or Delos? If it's
Delos.
If it's Delos, that's the command Ford gave when he was having lunch with Teressa.
Yeah.
And everyone froze. He said Delos. So like the whole board the company is called Delos.
Delos, yeah.
Which is fascinating. Anyway. So he pees. Bikini Girl is like, hey, we've met. I'm the boss. You're a piece of shit.
And he's like, oh, fuck. And he puts his dick away real quick.
Yep. Oh, my goodness. Bernard is on the hunt. We go from there. That's just like a quick scene of ridiculousness. He zips up his trousers.
Yep.
Bernard is on the hunt. There are 82 first-generation hosts left. 47 of them were designed by Arnold.
Yep.
He says, list in alphabetical order, those designed. I wrote it down. You can only see 3.
Dolores is one of them.
Abernathy, Dolores. And then there's 2 that don't matter. Abel, Lester, called Rowdy. And then Baird, somebody. I didn't catch it all. But, like... So we've got 82 first-generation hosts. 47 of them are designed by Arnold. Man in Black and Teddy. They're about to get branded. So they're being tied to the wagon wheels.
This is after they steal 2 people's...
That's right. How did I miss that one?
Commodore jackets or whatever, and a general, and some guy salutes them, and
they infiltrate the Union Army camp as imposters at Escalante. You don't know what happened at Escalante.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is an awesome. The action scenes are great.
Yes.
He grabs the hot brand and slams it back into the guy.
Which, by the way, was the maze.
Yeah, it was the maze.
And I think that's what triggers Teddy, because Teddy is like, these are his followers. Teddy says that. He goes, these are his followers.
Oh, shit.
Meaning these are not really Union soldiers. These are Wyatt's followers. And that fucking sets him off on this murderous rampage. And he jumps.
A man with a rampage.
That's right. A furious revenge or something.
With all of his, oh shit, that's the trouble with notes.
I know, right?
His enemies, he will vanquish all his enemies in a tireless fury.
He goes off. He jumps up on this fucking Gatling gun and just rains death. And this is where the Man in Black goes,
holy fuck.
Who the fuck are you? You think you know
Teddy,
him, man.
Yeah, he's watching Teddy just spray bullets everywhere. Boom, 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 boom. People are running around tents, falling backwards, blood splatter. Things are getting knocked over. People are dying, shooting, firefighting. Teddy is just stone cold, just cranking it out, killing everyone.
Interesting callback. In the next episode, when we see Dolores and William on a train, we see, I think, that same cart with the Gatling gun.
Mm-hmm.
But
Indeed,
anyway, that's for a later story.
Yep.
But yeah. Interesting thing, though, we didn't see... This is, I think, one of the first episodes where we don't see Man in Black and William in the same episode.
I was wondering...
And I think they're doing this... They're doing this kind of separation purposely to lead us to the eventual multi-timeline.
That's right.
Goal. And in fact, in the next episode, they really reveal the big reveal earlier, right? They start to drop very, very blatant clues,
which you're gonna have to lay out for me, because I think there was nothing that jumped out at me as like there are 2 divergent timelines. They're doing things in detail,
not that
like the Gatling gun.
Reveal.
The Gatling gun being the same right, is a thing. So older timeline, newer timeline. That kind of thing.
I was trying to piece if like the people were the same. Like I was trying to place the Union soldier people with the Confederate people and seeing if they were the same hosts. I was having a hard time. Like,
the native white painted, ghost tribes. And the Union soldiers being from a time before, but now they're in this current timeline.
Right.
Oh, it's so good, man. So they're about to get branded. The maze brand. They throw down. My only complaint about that machine gun scene is, and it was beautifully done, but like I like picking nits. They're surrounded by like the white tents are pitched around. Not a single bullet or ruffled tent at all. So like guys are running around the corner of the tent and falling down, and he's spraying along, and none of the tents even flap in the wind. It's really funny to me.
So
I understand why they did it. It's totally a nitpick, but watch that scene. Watch 0 tents get a bullet
theoretically, a bullet would go right through a tent.
But
it
would ruffle it, right? Like it would. There'd be holes, maybe.
It probably
something.
Would. Yeah.
I'm just saying. And this is when he says, "You think you know someone."
Yeah. You don't know me at all.
You don't know me at all. Becky on the hunt. Signals coming from the bicameral mind, transmitting to a Delos satellite. So they're using the older hosts that have the original bicameral mind designed by Arnold.
So what we've gathered was there was a system designed by Arnold of satellites and relays that would transmit the bicameral mind commands Arnold into their brains.
Yes.
Right? And they would hear that as Arnold or God speaking to them. So this was an old system, which we think we then believe where we learn, where we think we
Talk
see.
engineer to me, Dave.
This is where we believe we hear Arnold in Dolores's mind.
Yep.
Right?
This is how she's hearing it.
This is how she's hearing it. Right. It's being broadcast
on
through
a
satellite.
A LAN network, if you will.
Look at you. A local area network. Look at you. You don't have to say network after LAN because the N is network. Local area network. Okay? That's like saying
is it repetitively redundant?
Built-in test. Okay? You don't say that. Let me just push my glasses up a little bit here. Okay?
So on the LAN network, that's how she's hearing it. This drink looks like nothing to me.
But yeah, so on the land, she's hearing this on this satellite broadcast. She's hearing this voices, and so Bernard says we haven't used that in centuries, but decades. We never decommissioned them.
Yep, that system is decades old, but someone's using it.
Yeah.
So she finds the abandoned warehouse with all the creepy altar.
It's not a warehouse; it's an old theater in Sector 3. Right?
Oh, hey, look at you knowing things.
Look at me knowing things.
I was like, "What is this building?" Right. Old theater in Sector 3. Locates the relay under the altar
on the stage. Yep.
She
starts.
You know what?
Hacking away.
We're doing so much Shakespeare shit, right? Like life is a stage. Yeah. This is a theater, so it's under this theater, and the Deus ex machina, right? Like the God from the machine rising up from underneath. Like she has to go down where God would be in the machine to find the God in the machine. Oh my god, dude.
Full
I'm done.
Circle.
Cheers.
We still have another episode to talk
that.
about. Oh my god.
Sometimes you just strike gold. All right, so poor Becky. Yep, she calls Bernard. Tries Bernard's over talking to Teressa. This is where he goes to her house. Yep. Teresa's like, "Yo, dude, no more booty calls. We're done.
Dude, come on. You're not getting in these pants tonight, boy."
And he screens his call from Becky. She calls right back.
He says, "Shh, Becky,
don't hang up.
I can't talk right now. Don't hang up.
Don't hang up."
It's Teressa.
Yep.
She's the one. She was the only person here to use this data. She's the one smuggling out of the park. And this is where he's like, "Well, I guess I can't tell Teressa about the fucking transmitter."
Yep. And she says to him, "The older models are being reprogrammed by Arnold, someone with changes to their prime directive. They can lie to us. They can hurt us. Something big is happening. It's not just stealing data. They're changing the hosts."
Yep.
And so she's like, "Who has access to do this?" She says to Bernard, who's been doing this and doesn't remember or
realize that he is Arnold.
Yep. And so he doesn't. So we don't see the end of that scene, do we?
No.
Like he just gets that call, and we see Teressa from between like his hand holding the phone and his face and her in the background, and then it's Ford and Robert.
Yep.
And he's talking to the little boy, and he says, "Are you lying to me?" Because he said, I thought we would play catch with the greyhound from the other episode, which finally caught a rabbit or a squirrel or something, and it was gory. Or
it was laying there dead.
Yeah, we never got the end of that story with the greyhound.
Yeah, we do.
I mean, we never did. We like what happened with the dog? What happened with the boy? What happened? It was just sort of this horrible moment.
Oh, that's right. We find out next episode. Right? Is it
this episode?
So the dog is laying there dead.
Yep.
And Ford goes, "What happened to the dog?"
Right, I thought we played catch with Jack or whatever his name is.
Jacques. Yeah, what happened to Jacques? And Robert goes,
he ran away.
He caught a rabbit. And,
he ran away. I don't know where he is."
Yeah, and then they find him.
And Ford goes, "Are you lying to me?" Analysis, "Are you lying to me?" And he goes, "Yes." Tell me what happened. "Someone told me to put it out of its misery."
Yep.
Who? Whose voice?
Arnold.
He told me it was a killer, and that if it was dead, it couldn't hurt anything anymore. Talk to me about this scene.
Oh, what do you want to know about this scene?
Did he program this? Is this new information to Ford, or did he program the kid to kill the dog?
No, I think this is new information. I think Ford is like...
Something is happening outside of Ford's control, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And he's trying to track it down. He's also following the maze in a similar way, not the same, but in the similar way that like the Man in Black is trying to track it down. Things are happening.
Yep.
And he is both helping it, right? Like he has created Bernard, and Bernard has secret conversations with Dolores, and like so
or that's flashback to Arnold.
Or that's flashback to Arnold.
But yes, this is all still true statements, right?
So if then, so let's play a little engineer computer code thing. It's going to be an if then game.
If then game.
Okay.
What are we calling this game?
I don't know. Do you have any? Is there like a computer programming thing that we call it?
Let's call it
Bug Testerino.
We'll come up with a clever name. I'm not...
Okay. It's the murder of the Greyhound, and I want to know what that means, and if Ford programmed it, or did it happen sort of organically outside of his control? Remember, Robert and the whole family are legacy creations.
Yep. Created by Arnold.
So...
Who definitely are older generation models. They have connection to the bicameral mind network, which we already know has been hacked and is starting to say shit to people.
And there's some Wi-Fi network that has Arnold's voice broadcasting to all the bicameral minds.
That's right.
So, Ford is here. If Dolores is a legacy creation, which we know she is, an original robot from Arnold's time, and Bernard is a modern creation of Ford's design. Right? You with me?
I'm with you.
Who is incapable of free thought or resisting Ford's commands, as we find out, then does this explain the troubled expression that Ford has from 2 episodes ago when he left that interview with Dolores, where he grabs Dolores' hands and says, analysis, when was the last time that you talked with Arnold or Bernard or whatever?
Yeah.
And she says, 32 years, 7 days, 4 months, and 1 hour ago.
Right.
When Arnold died. So if Dolores is a legacy creation and Bernard is a modern creation incapable of lying
to Ford,
then does that mean that at that moment Ford realizes Dolores is lying to him?
Absolutely.
I rest my case, Your Honor.
Adjourn. Objection. No, sustained.
So
whatever.
Because she then that explains the scene where in sort of like the green and black, Dolores kind of floats a couple scenes ago and she says, I didn't tell him about our conversations. Right. She knows she's lying. So this, by process of elimination, Ford, who is, we assume, is getting full informational dumps like he's getting from little robot Robert.
Yep.
He's getting full dumps from Bernard about what Bernard has been doing with the creation. So if Bernard is unlocking all of these guys and Bernard thinks he's doing it secretly, Ford is in on all of that.
Right.
So he sits down with the creation that shouldn't be able to lie to him, and it lies to him. And it knows it lies to him.
Yeah.
Dolores says, I didn't tell him about our meetings, just like you said. Crazy, man. Cracks wide open.
Maybe.
So he's
because that could have been an alternate timeline, right?
Shit.
And this is what's so great about the show is it opens up these things where that fade to black could have been a fade to an alternate timeline.
We don't actually know
when he's talking when Dolores is talking to Arnold, and maybe maybe Arnold was keeping this from original Ford, young Ford.
Are those interactions happening under the house? So that little basement, right, where he's 3D printing.
This is something I wanted to bring up.
Is that where they were happening?
So I don't know if it's actually at that location.
It looks like the same. It looks like the same.
It does look
office
the same
without the 3D printer in the room.
100% agree. It absolutely does. And the first time I watched this, I didn't catch this, and I thought that was 100% the case.
Dave.
But now I caught Bernard saying to Teressa when they go down there, which we'll talk about when we talk about the next episode. But when he goes down there, he says, "Oh, this was a beta test. This is one of our beta test stations or remote." He says remote test locations, which means there's more of them.
Yes,
they're
and
all
so they
over
would,
the park.
and they would be designed relatively the same, and they, you'd be able to take a host out
down
of their story, go downstairs, talk to it if something happened.
It right back up.
Yep, and go back, plug it back in. Oh, crazy! So whose voice was it? Arnold's. He told me it was a killer and that if it was dead, it couldn't hurt anything anymore. So little robot Robert is listening to Arnold and acting of its own accord.
Yep.
Doing things that it knows it shouldn't do, perhaps, or that it wasn't programmed to do. It's going off script, and then it's lying to Ford about it. But because it's Ford's creation or Ford's, updated model, he can't lie. And so he ultimately tells the truth, but Arnold, or the wireless signal that is Arnold in the park, is affecting change. Is that what we're supposed to take away from this scene?
Yes, absolutely.
It's so good.
You hit it on the head.
We're at the end. Maeve.
Of this episode.
Yep. Maeve is getting an upgrade.
Yep.
Someone, Bernard, Arnold, Ford, somebody has already been upgrading her, says Sketchy Dude.
With much higher clearances than we have.
Yep. And
which means someone's watching you, which means if we... basically what he's saying is if we fuck with you, they're going to know we fucked with you.
Yeah, and they're way better. We're going to lose our, pittance of a job. And she says, I don't care about all that, and convinces them to crank her... What should you call it? Bulk apperception. Yep. Our bulk apperception up to 11. And then the final line.
She already has a 14, which they say is the highest highest that is allowed to the hosts.
Yep. Because they want you smart, but not too smart.
Right. You're a manager position. They want you smart, but not too smart.
You're running Sylvester a brothel, not like an
orbital test facility or something like that. Or an orbital facility. Yeah.
And so she goes, dear boys, we're going to have some fun. Aren't we?
Yep.
And it ended, and this is why we have to do 2 episodes, Dave, because it's too good to stop here.
Can't stop.
But I think maybe we stop here, and we'll do a second recording instead of doing it all in one. What do you think? We're just doing this on the fly.
Yeah, we can do that.
And then we can post 2.
We'll post 2 at the same time, but we'll make it 2 episodes. All right.
Dingo
so we'll
dongo,
see
bingo
you
bongo.
real shortly.
Yeah.